Hello and welcome everyone. I have a question number 7. It is May 18th, 2014, or May 19th, depending on where you're living. And tonight we are having an EdTech Weekly reunion. We are going to do some links from around the world. We're going to talk about the stuff we love about the internet and the stuff that relates to our educational technology leanings. I'm going to kick things off by saying my name is Dave Cormier from Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
I'm Jennifer Madrill in Chicago, Illinois.
I am John Schenker in Stowe, Ohio.
And this is Jeff Lebo in Busan, Korea. Excited for a good old style, fast-paced roundup of EdTech news and resources.
Yay!
I'm going to take that fast pace as a message, and I'm going to follow along with it. I know that I'm going to be told that I went too long on this one, but I'm going to start things off with P2PU. For those of you who don't know, they're an organization that's funded in the United States by Foundation, and they put on free course type thingies. So if you're looking for a place online that is open and wonderful and free, but you still want a little bit of structure, P2PU is a really nice choice. It's pretty simple. It's pretty streamlined. You can go there and log in and register whenever you want. The people there are pretty nice. There's a background, sort of people.p2pu.org that you can go and hang out with and sort of ask them questions about how things work. And basically, it gives you a place to sort of build website kind of content stuff. And it also has newsletter capabilities and not a whole lot else, but it's a nice, simple, streamlined place you can put your course. Looks fancy and official whenever you show it to other people. And it's a nice option if you're looking for something to start an open course and share with other people and have a place that you can grow from. I highly advise it. They are run by very, very good people. P2pu.org.
Cool. And keep this in mind because I have a link coming up. And also, I think we could make this a show topic for another day of a home base for courses. So let's kind of keep this in mind. All right, so I am going to take a walk down memory lane. As many folks may recall, this is where we used to have our links stored, the link I put in the chat room at delicious.com/edtechtalk. And before we completely abandoned that that site, we ended up having over 10,000 links, and we had somehow 9,600 followers that followed us. And so I was looking through what happened to our good old Delicious this week, and I came across an article that they were recently sold. So they've been sold 3 times in the last 3 years. Yes, they first were sold to Yahoo way back when, and then a group that the old founders of YouTube that started a venture doing something else, and then just 10 days ago they were spun off to another startup. So it isn't our old Delicious anymore, and it is ugly. So I hope that the new people take a little time.
So in the last 2.5 years, have we gotten a lot of submissions there, Jen? How's that working?
It's not.
Are they mostly Jennifer's links?
It looks like the last thing.
Not a whole lot going on.
No. Other than one link in 2014, the last one was in October of 2013.
Okay.
But we still have people joining, I think.
It could be. Like I said,
joining in Delicious?
We have 9,600
yeah.
followers. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, most of my links this week are going to focus not necessarily on new tools and resources and things, but more about things that we already know about and tools that we've been using and how we're actually applying those. And so I'm starting with something that's really simple. It's just a WordPress blog. And what I've been doing in my school district is taking a lot of these videos that always seem to be going around about next generation learning. And if you think about the Sir Ken Robinson videos and the TED Talks, and we see all of these things about learning and assessment and about what do we mean by knowledge, and how do schools need to change, and how do we affect pedagogy in positive ways, how do we get kids connected, and how do we work together as professionals. And what I started doing in my school district is just posting some of these videos on a blog, and every couple of weeks I'll post a really short intro, maybe 100 words or so, just introducing it and saying this is who this person is, and then asking some questions at the bottom, and using that catalyst to start conversations about next generation learning. It's hard to get people to come to a meeting. It's hard to start these conversations when you're so focused. I mean, it's May, right? So we're focused on final exams and on prom and graduations coming up, and we have awards assemblies. And, no matter what time of year it is, there's always other things that seem to be more important for the here and now, for handling the stuff that is urgent in running a school. And so we frequently put the long-term stuff on the back burner, and so we don't look at the big picture quite so much as we can or as we should. And so this is just one way where I post a blog post. I encourage comments, though I rarely get them, but I do hear from my staff that, hey, we had a conversation in our PLC or at our staff meeting, we watched that video you posted, and we're starting those conversations, and they're starting, our teachers and our administrators are starting to have those conversations about next generation learning. And so it's a good way to share those videos and start those conversations.
I watched that video of Stephen Johnson. Is that from the Royal Society that does that stuff, or is that a whole new genre of art, of graphicizing talks?
The drawings, are they RS Animates? Yeah, RSA, doing those.
Okay. Well, I am going to start with my heart rather than my head. As I was wandering around stuff, I came across this wonderful interview that Cliff Minns did. He's a professor in Memphis, I believe. And he had an awesome interview with Lisa Durf, who has been in the EdTech community for a long, long time, member of the Webcast Academy class of 2.1. And it was really just a great discussion about kind of the Lisa Durf story, which a lot of pieces I had not known, and her take on social media and Second Life, and the challenges that she's faced, and the way some of the technology has played a role, and also her role in moderating. He asked her, what's one of your favorite parts of being part of all these communities? And she was talking about the moderating and helping newbies, and that it really made me reflect on a lot of times we wind up talking inside baseball, and we kind of have so much background knowledge, and people come into these communities and there's something they want to share or something they want to get, and the role of people who help welcome them on an affective level and orient them into this crazy world where we are spending so much time.
Yeah, she's really good at that. That's
such a critical role too.
Yep.
Totally.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen her. I'm looking at
I had not ever seen her either.
I don't know, in, 10 years or so almost now, and I'm not sure I ever saw her.
Well, that's amazing. I can't wait to watch the video now. It's funny how we're having an inside baseball talk about somebody who baseball. Lisa's probably getting all. I can see her getting all. We're gonna get a back channel any second now.
You
Lisa
owe her a cup
Durf
of coffee and $5 now.
Wherever there's a community discussion, you will find Lisa Durf's name somewhere in the discussion, trying to help people out. She's somebody that, if you go out into the community discussions, you'll be able to get a sense of the kind of work that she does, and she's really great. She's somebody we've known for a long time. In the interests of doing that kind of sort of introduction to people, I thought I might share a journal. So for those of you who are interested in this field, some of the stuff we do is, blog post introductions and that kind of stuff, and there's some research going on too. This is a hybrid pedagogy. Probably my favorite online journal. Some of the stuff is like deep, dark philosophy stuff, and some of this stuff is pretty practical, like right at the chalk face stuff. I really enjoy their work. Anybody can submit here. There's no, they don't care who you are. They care how good your work is and how hard you're willing to work. A couple of really good people run this journal overall, and there's lots and lots of other people who are part of it as well. I highly advise sort of going, checking it out. All the stuff that the hybrid pedagogy guys do is really good. They also run MOOC and a bunch of other things too, but they take a really interesting look and sort of invite a lot of articles to take a really interesting look at how our world is changing based on the sort of technological changes that are out there, and I think are really fair about it. So if you are interested in getting a bit of an inside view on some of the theory that's out there and some of the stuff that people are writing, I highly advise check out Hybrid Pedagogy.
Very good. All right, I can't leave my walk down memory lane down. I can't leave it go until one more round here. So, as you may recall, if you were around, oh my gosh, we're now 7-8 years ago, we made the big leap for a while to Digo, and we talked about Digo last week. And so I was thinking Digo is such the new kid on the block. And when I was poking around, we actually set up our EdTechTalk group in May of 2007, so it's now 7 years old. And I think even last week when we were talking about it, we were kind of referring it to kind of the new social bookmarking site that we had moved to. But again, what's really fascinating, if you build it, they will come. We have 3,000 people that are part of our EdTechTalk group, and it is the most abandoned section of probably of all of Digo. And so what I've been doing this week is trying to resurrect it slightly, at least for myself. And so preparing for what we're doing this week, I have tagged my links with tonight's date, and I've posted them to the EdTechTalk section of Digo. So if you're interested in social bookmarking, I've kind of breathed a little bit of life into our Digo group if you're so interested.
Wow, it's like 2007 at Jen's house. It's all like social bookmarking.
Exactly. I couldn't believe it. I was
She's
like, where
using
did
Netscape again.
And if you go back to
3,000
EdTech
people?
Weekly number 30, called Digo, you will hear Dave talking about, what is it, everybody this week, all of a sudden they're on Digo, and I think people need to do a better job of really thinking about what's the merit of a tool, not just following the pack into the latest tool. I love Digo. I use it personally for all my bookmarks, and I use it in my courses. I have a group for all the members of the course, and I encourage them to share links. And it's also a great way, once they're done with the course, that they can kind of stay in touch with what's going on. So I'm a Digo fan.
Digo. Everybody's with the Digo.
Exactly.
And here we are, years later, just jump. So
Sounds like you have bandwidth
my
from
schools-
1997, John.
I probably
Dial-up.
do. One of the issues is I have an extra 7 people in my house this weekend, and I think they're all streaming video and doing all kinds of things downstairs. So who knows? I did off the video, which maybe helps, but yeah, I'm sure there's Pandora and YouTube going on downstairs. One of the things we've been working on in our schools this year, especially this semester, has been really kind of focusing on professional development and what our long-term plans are for professional development and developing sort of a roadmap. And one piece of that has been a struggle to try to validate learning and learning it at a professional development level. And traditionally in schools, this has all been about putting time in, counting hours. If you put in so many hours, you get so much credit, and if you get so much credit, you get more money, and everything has been based on how much time you spend. And so one of the things we're trying to do is to validate learning as opposed to validating time spent. And one thing that plays into that, or one idea that plays into that, is the use of digital badges. And we've talked about it a few times here. The links that I posted are a couple links from Eric Scheninger's school district, where they've put their badge system for professional development based on WordPress, Badge OS, which is a plugin for WordPress, and Credly will allow you to issue digital badges very easily and set them up. So basically the way we're doing this is we've set up a few different levels or types of badges, and some of those are tool-based, and we use those kind of as building blocks to get people familiar with various technologies, and those are relatively easy, low-impact tasks that they have to complete and show some evidence of learning, and they can earn those badges. And then really the focus of the project is on pedagogy and how that changes instruction and how we apply technology or use technology in innovative ways in the classroom. And those are more in-depth or involved badges that involve more time and more reflection and more application. And when teachers complete those badges and submit the evidence of their learning, we can issue those and validate those, and they can get professional development credit. They can use that for graduate workshops so that they can get pay increases, and they can also use it for renewing their licenses. So we're just starting to put these tools together and find ways to for the technology to work to make it easier for people to use, but really kind of excited about validating professional learning this way.
Does that
Dave,
make
you
both
have a
of your
comment, I'm
links so
sure.
far WordPress?
Yes. Wait till you
Is
see the next
Netflix
8 links.
WordPress
They're all
too?
WordPress, dude.
Because I'm just wondering.
What?
I got to call it here. Are we getting like 5 WordPress links in a row here? Is that what's going on? You're getting
We
paid
might.
by the man.
You never know. Matt and I are really tight.
So my next link.
So what's your favorite WordPress link, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm not going WordPress. I'm going old school tool. I live in the world of language teaching, and if I were asked what's one tool or one site that's been most useful for language learners and for teachers who go back into the classroom and actually use something, it would be Quizlet. It is basically a flashcard site and more. Back in 2009, Seedlings did an interview with the founder, Andrew Sutherland, on EdTechTalk. And it's just a really easy, light, functional flashcard site. You can study your cards. One of my favorite parts of it, it's audio enabled, and so you can choose the language of each side of the card. And so if you choose Korean, it will speak Korean quite well, but then if you put English in that section, I haven't put any of the links in, I'm sorry. It will speak in perfect Konglish. It will speak English with a Korean accent, which I find quite amusing. And then there's a lot of different activities that you can do with it. There's like a scatter where you have to match words. There's spelling tests. There's races. So there's lots of different activities you can do with it. It's very mobile friendly. I will study my Korean sometimes on the bus or the subway. So Quizlet, I'm a fan.
And extra points for sharing your screen, Jeff. Nice job.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
A lot better than Yuma.
I'm going to go to technology, and I'm going to post a triple link. Okay, I'm going all triple on you guys.
Whoa.
It's totally going to freak you guys out.
It's a link dump right there.
No, it's not a link dump.
Okay.
The first one is ScreenFlow. And ScreenFlow, for those of you who don't know it, is Mac only, which is why I'm doing a bunch of different ones here. But ScreenFlow, in terms of screen capture, voice over audio stuff, is by far the best one I've ever used, but it is Mac only. And it's the cream of the crop. Some people like Camtasia, but those people are crazy people. Don't listen to them. ScreenFlow is amazing. If you do not have a Mac, if you're not so blessed, then I advise you, and it's particularly if you're using this for teaching and you have some access to Flash, Screencast-O-Matic, really nice. I've used it in lots of classes. I've used it with lots of students, and they seem to be able to pick it up reasonably easily once the applet is installed. But it is a very easy screen capturing software. It's plug and play, no download, just there in the browser other than the applet issue. But, interestingly, this week I found a new one. And I was totally blown away. It is so good. It's very slick. It does a very nice job. It is called MoveNote. I believe it only works in Chrome, but it is a really nice alternative as well, and it makes very tidy videos and very easy to use. So in that sort of jump of three, I give you sort of three different approaches to what I think is one of the most useful and simple educational tools to use. Actually, and for that matter, I'll throw in a fourth. Using Google Hangouts for screen shares also works really well, as well. Screen captures is really great too. I do it before my classes. I do it after my classes to go, oh yeah, remember that thing I explained to you needed to do? Let me just talk about it again, and I'll send it out. Oh, you remember how to use this tool that we talked about in class? Just in case you didn't quite get it, here's a recording. And I find those are the easiest ways to prepare students and then to remind them, and also a really great tool for my students to use for whatever else they use to. So screen capture, lots of different tools there, lots of different options out there.
One of the things I really like about Screencast-O-Matic is you can control whether you want to show your cursor and your clicks, and the editing is pretty sophisticated for a free tool. You can cut out sections, you can blur things out, which I find sometimes if I'm sharing my screen and there's a photo of someone that I don't have permission. So for a free tool, it's awesome, for sure.
Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to bring us now to 2014. We've left 2007 behind.
Is there still social bookmarking in 2014?
Yes. I did have a couple more, believe it or not, on social bookmarking, but I'm going to, in the interest of time, with 10 minutes left. So I don't know how I'm going to frame all these links that I have left, and we probably won't get to them tonight, but we've talked a little bit about Dave's class that he had the Maker Physics, and then I was doing my service learning projects, and they all kind of have this underlying sort of this theme of this whole Maker Ed movement. And I noticed that EdSurge has been having a lot of articles on Maker Ed, so then we must be hitting on something with that. But I stumbled on this site this week it is actually yesterday. It's Online Academy, and the way they run their MOOCs, they ask people to self-form into teams, and they tackle a specific design problem. And this is not instructional design; they're working on architectural problems. And it's really cool in that they're working toward building something, and they're collaborating remotely. Most of the folks don't know each other, and then it's a juried. At the end, it's juried to determine which design looks most viable to implement, and then they actually then will have a second phase where they go on and implement. And I just thought it was kind of a cool way to take it to that next level where we're getting past conversations and getting into, like, let's build something, let's design something. And so what was really cool about all of this is I just happened to click on, I think, Twitter as well as the founder's Google Plus account, and within 5 minutes he sent me an email that he wanted to connect with me, that he then clicked on my link and then saw what I was doing in the service learning stuff. So again, the internet never ceases to amaze me. So he seems like a really cool guy. They're doing some really neat stuff, and again, it's not, the classes aren't instructional design. It's, again, it has to do with architecture, but the design behind it is really interesting and really cool. And so I'd love to have actually a whole session where we talk about this, what Dave did in his Maker Physics, and then what some of these other MOOCs are trying to do, getting, again, kind of beyond the watch a video, take a quiz, or getting beyond just conversations to let's build something. So there,
Cool.
That's my link.
Awesome. All right, getting back to me and my WordPress. No, this is not a WordPress link. But I've been playing a lot with Flipboard because I love the Flipboard interface. And again, nothing that I'm talking about tonight is new, right? These are things that we've been talking about for years. But I love the interface of Flipboard on a mobile device, right? We're iPad, and you can just flip through these articles, and the magazines refresh themselves. And I find that really compelling as a way to consume media. Works great on Android. It works great on an iOS device. My problem with it has always been trying to use a browser, and it doesn't work well in a browser. But with Flipboard magazines, you can use them in a browser, and you can at least consume them in a browser. And there's also a bookmarklet now for Chrome. So if you create a Flipboard magazine, if you are in Flipboard, you can add things to magazine. So as you're reading things, you can flip them into one of your magazines. And if you are on the web and you have the bookmarklet in Chrome, you can also add that to your magazine. And if you set up Twitter to use hashtags, or your Flipboard to follow Twitter hashtags, you can also add any links or include that hashtag into your Flipboard magazine. So what we've done, another teacher and I in my school district, is set up a few magazines on connected educators, teaching, technology, and assessment. And so these are magazines that we sent out to our teachers and said, hey, if you want to engage around assessment in a 21st century classroom, this is a magazine where we're aggregating that kind of content. And we gave them the hashtags too, so they can tweet articles or resources that they find that are related to them, and these Flipboard magazines then aggregate that content. So they can browse it on a mobile device, they can access it through the web, and really what we're setting this up for is a model for teachers to disseminate content to students. So sort of the next step is I'm waiting for one of my middle school teams to say, hey, we should be using this to pull together all of the resources that our 7th graders need. And so our 7th graders have a 7th grade Red Team magazine that they're consuming on their mobile devices, and the teachers are pushing content to it. So it's kind of a way to pull things together from multiple sources and to push it out to people in an engaging way. So we're having a lot of fun with it.
Yep, pretty interface.
Yes.
I'm gonna talk browsers.
What?
Wow.
I think Netscape is really.
Lynx is the best browser.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I'm a Chrome fan. There's lots of apps and stuff, but I always have multiple browsers going for all my different accounts. Torch is awesome for media. Not only YouTube, but if you go to any site that has audio or video, not any site, most sites, click play, and you'll have your little audio or video button, and you can download it. Iron is kind of a more secure, and both of these are based on Chrome. Iron is sort of a more secure version if you're concerned about privacy issues. Iron allows you to feel more private. I was at a computer lab in my school last week, and some of the computers still have IE6 on them.
No.
Yes.
It isn't true.
So on my USB drive, I carry Chrome Portable. And so it's got all my bookmarks, and I'm logged into my stuff, and I just put it in, and off we go. While I'm talking web tools, I will also mention, as I did last week, Feedly, definitely my feed reader of preference. I set all my students up with that usually at some point, so it's the importing and exporting of the OPMLs works quite well. And finally, for podcast listening, the site that I tend to use for looking for new sites is podbay.fm, a nice directory, anything that keeps me away from iTunes.
I'm going to sneak another one in here, if that's okay with you guys.
Last
Everybody
round.
ready? Everybody ready? Okay.
Go.
Okay. Here we go. Moving to the screen share, guys.
Oh my
Getting
god.
crazy now.
Hold on.
Crazy.
Here we go. What are we watching? Can you all see?
It
Ping
looks like
pong.
Pong.
It's ping pong.
Yay.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
not
I
ping pong,
lost.
That's pong.
That's just
It's
Pong.
pong. It's pong masquerading as ping pong, but that is not the point. I hereby apologize to everybody who's told me that Scratch is the best educational tool since sliced bread. Scratch is an MIT project. I've been told for years. Susan Ettenheim told me 8 years ago that this was awesome, and I ignored her, and I apologize to her right now. Now I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, you just saw the amazingness of Pong. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's Pong, and you click the See Inside button, and this is how it's built. So when clicked, forever, if key S is pressed, then change Y by 15. So S is the down button on the left-hand side, and there it is on the other side. If W is pressed, change Y by plus 15. That's what makes the paddle go up and down. Okay, so the whole thing is programmed right inside here. See on the left here where it says Sprite 2 in the left-hand corner, and then I click Sprite 4, and it says down arrow and up arrow are the things that make it go. And then if I click on the sprite in the middle, the red dot, this is how the red dot works. Now there's a lot of color there, but when you look at it, they're all things that are just dragged from the left over to the right to make this thing happen. And the beauty of it is that you can go in, see how the last person made it, and then make it for yourself, make adjustments, turn the thing blue, do whatever it is you want to do. Right? So if I want to go in and change the way the guy looks, I can just go in here and turn this sucker blue, put a little dot in the middle of them, say.
Now, this was created by, what, Caddisboy10? If you change it, are you changing it on his account, or you're, like, saving a copy to your account?
You remix it. Do you see the remix button?
Mm-hmm.
Remix there? I'd have to log in. I'm not logged in right
So
now.
it's like a save as, so you're not.
You click remix, you hit save as, you get a new one, and then you go ahead and make it yourself. So you can play around with their stuff. There's all kinds of crazy video games in here. But because of this drawing system, you can make, like my daughter made some dancing birds the other day that were playing around and stuff. You can do just about anything. It is such a cool way to learn, for an adult, to learn how to program, let alone for kids.
And in the chat room, Kathy is saying that her second graders love it. So
it's so good. Yeah, my second grader really loves it.
all right. Anything else you'd like to apologize
sorry,
about?
Susan. That's it. No.
For the past 10 years, anything else that.
No, that was the only mistake
only
I've
thing?
made in the last 10 years.
Good.
Have you looked at Alice yet?
No, that's the 3D one. I don't like that one.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't like it now, but until he tries
No,
it.
you don't like that one.
Tries it.
I'll apologize.
Isn't that the next step?
All right, so we are in our last round, so all I'm going to do is just some shameless self-promotion. This is for such a tiny little audience that might care. Tomorrow I'm attending the Tutor, Mentor, Leadership, and Networking Conference here in Chicago. So it's a bunch of hippies and socialists, I guess, that are out trying to save the world. And so tomorrow I'm doing a session on service learning. So if you happen to be in the Chicago area and you happen to be interested in service learning and you happen to have some time tomorrow, stop by. I'll be doing a session on service learning. And hopefully we can have a session on our IHAQ, or whatever we're calling this show, on service learning, because I'm kind of into it right now. So that's it. I'm done.
Okay.
That's a two-way street.
Again, in my...
It is a two-way street.
What?
It's
Service
a two-way
learning
street.
is a two-way street.
It is.
Just saying.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. Again, in my links that are all about me, I think the reason I'm involved in this community is because I listen to podcasts in my car, and lately I've been adding more podcasts, and there's some really good stuff out there. And if you don't listen to Spark, we've talked about it lots of times, you should. And the link that I posted there is a recent conversation with Siemens about learning and validating learning in 21st century, and they sort of get into a little conversation there about whether demonstrating mastery is sufficient or whether we need to have letter grades, and how that all works at the university level. And they're into a sink or swim conversation about if they eventually learn and demonstrate that learning, is that good enough for the grade, or do we need to go back to the system that we've always had, which is meeting a certain criteria, or turning it in on time and taking off for spelling, and all of those kinds of things that have traditionally gone into grades. So Spark is well worth listening to if you aren't already. And also on CBC recently, I've been getting into the Ideas show, and I apologize to all the Canadians who know all about this stuff, but you've got a gold mine there in the Canadian broadcasting system.
Yeah, 50 years of, actually almost every episode for the last 50 years is worthwhile listening to.
Exactly, and those are fantastic. And then this cool thing happening called Radiotopia, 99% Invisible, which we've had a little love fest about among the four of us. I think we've all independently found this great design and kind of architecture podcast that just looks at those pieces of the design world that you wouldn't notice at first, and the stories behind them. And it's really compelling audio. It's really accessible. It's the sort of thing where you listen to a couple of them and then you have to go back and get the whole archive and start at the beginning. Fantastic work from Roman Mars. Truth is also part of that same collection of webcasters that are podcasters that are doing great audio, and those are fiction and have some really interesting takes on the world and some neat scenarios that they set up. So highly recommend all of those if you're looking for some new stuff to stick into your feed readers.
Thank you much. I will load up before I go to work today. All right, my last round link dump, starting with...
My goodness, that is a link dump.
We were always fans of mind mapping stuff. We check out Bubblist, and the latest one of my pages on my call website, learningcall.net, is a list of the mind mapping tools I have had most success with, or students have. Of note is Creately. The thing I like about it is they have lots of templates that you can use for graphic organizers and different kinds of mind maps. Twidla and a bunch of the ones like that are actually very nice for collaborating. Bubblist is still around. Poplet actually is the same genre of simple, very simple, but better. So there's my list of mind mapping tools. I find that when I am working on the computer, sometimes I want background music, but music with lyrics I find distracting. And so I use 8-tracks a lot for my background music. And
sorry,
they have
you don't really mean like an 8-track.
No, Jennifer is old enough to actually have 8 tracks.
You know what? The way that we're talking about Pong.
She's got Doobie Brothers 8-track.
Yeah, I had the
Gotta
Dewey Brothers
clarify.
8-track. I had Seals and Crofts.
Okay.
Seals and Crofts was my very first 8-track.
Bay City
And I
Rollers.
purchased it for my sister, yeah. No, 8tracks.com. They've got a whole bunch of study lists. My favorite is cello. I love cello music. For some reason, I love like cello covers of modern music. Very good to study by. And it would not be an EdTech Weekly fast-paced roundup of news and resources without a periodic table. So
Yes,
here
I was
is
waiting. Yay.
the ultimate periodic table link at touchspin.touchspin.com. So
I saw a
that is-
display table and I got excited. I didn't want to click on it.
so that is my link dump.
All right, take us home, Jeffy. We're done. We did it.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This was fun. We'll be back. Oh, we have to decide our question for next week. Do we? I liked the one that came up in the first round with Dave's course software.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Or home-based course software. Yeah, I'm good with that.
What's the best home base for your course online?
That's good.
There you
That's
go.
our topic.
All right,
We
so
have our
tune in
topic.
next week for that. Oh, this week we also had the big tag battle between IHAQ and EdTechWeekly. It was
Did
an
anyone answer?
overwhelming victory for IHAQ. The final score, 1-0. IHAQ won. I move that we make IHAQ our official tag.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm very
All right,
excited.
so
by
The
that.
community
have
has
questions?
spoken. They're
Yes.
unanimous.
If you have questions or comments about any of this, please tag it with IHAQ, IHAQ. We'll be back next week and look forward to continuing then.